Hey, help me take on this major project. We faithfully convey value and interpret global literary masterpieces. Hello, this is Reading on Horseback. Today's featured book is Bob Dylan, The Poet's Song, The Power of a Given Story. The song we just played is Knockin' on Heaven's Door, covered by artists like Emil Schau, Black Panther Band, and Avril Lavigne. This song's creator and performer is the subject of today's book. Bob Dylan, the most famous and controversial American singer of the latter 20th century. Starting with folk music, he became a youth icon, then shocked the industry by switching to rock. When people finally recognized rock's significance, he declared Christian faith and began creating gospel albums. He always kept people guessing, equal parts frustrating and fascinating. Back in 1966, some predicted he'd die suddenly on stage. Yet over 50 years later, at 77, he still tours globally and remains the first musician to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. The Nobel Committee compared his lyrics to Whitman and Shakespeare, recognizing them as exceptional poetry. Despite constant media scrutiny, Dylan's personal life remains largely unknown. He's notoriously difficult with journalists, often giving contradictory answers. In his 60s, he wrote a brilliantly crafted autobiography, but his vague descriptions of events only deepened the mystery surrounding him. There are now over 300 biographies about him, an extraordinary number for any musician. This 2016 biography by French journalist Jean-Dominique Brière, Dylan's superfan and French lyric translator, offers fresh perspectives. Unlike traditional biographies, it interweaves Dylan's life story with analysis of his songs across different eras. Now let's follow this book into Dylan's story. When Bob Dylan first became famous, he told journalists about his childhood stories. In these tales, he was a homeless drifter riding freight trains across America, documenting experiences through songs. But people soon discovered these were fabricated stories. So what was his real childhood like? Born Robert Zimmerman in 1941 to a middle-class Jewish family, Dylan never traveled far before 18. He grew up in Hibbing, a mining town on America's northern border, surrounded by hundreds of miles of forests and mineral resources. In early 20th century, Hibbing thrived as the iron ore shipping capital, bustling with commerce. But prosperity faded, with 1940s global economic shifts leading to decline. In North Country Blues we just played, Dylan sings, "Left pointing to, it's a town that's forgotten, mines closed, work scarce, frozen flames in air. Left pointing to nothing left worth keeping here." Though financially secure, Hibbing's decaying atmosphere deeply oppressed young Dylan. He said, "Left pointing angle, right pointing angle. Where I was born was too far from where I was supposed to be. Right pointing angle. And I was always waiting to escape." Trains symbolized that waiting departure. Slow-moving ore trains became young Dylan's connection to the outside world. He often hopped trains to explore nearby forests, lying under trees listening to nature, sometimes violently uprooting weeds till exhausted. More often, he wandered mental landscapes of cosmic fantasies, journeying through imaginary realms. Dylan recalled, "Left pointing angle, right pointing angle. That balance between anger and sorrow made me feel capable of creating change. Right pointing angle, left pointing angle." Nature's vastness calmed the restless Dylan, while music charted his future path. Among various pop songs, Dylan became fascinated with country folk, especially the works of wandering singer Hank Williams. These stories filled young Dylan with wanderlust, dreaming of traveling the world singing soulful songs. He began self-learning guitar and composing songs, gradually abandoning forest wanderings. He immersed in home creosote, soon mastering beyond, forming bands and staging local shows. Recognizing his musical talent, Dylan secretly decided to pursue music professionally. After high school, supported by parents, he left Hibbing for Minneapolis. Though not comparable to New York, Minneapolis became his first gateway to the wider world. Dylan skipped classes constantly during college, dropping out after 6 months. He found academic education too rigid for real-world problems. He said, left pointing angle quotation mark, right pointing angle quotation mark, college is like a nursing home where people die at 20. His true plan, integrating into Minneapolis's music scene, Dylan found his stage in campus-adjacent bars and cafes. These venues attracted hardcore artists, writers, musicians, waiters, and drifters alike. People cared only about music and revelry, not social status, an atmosphere where Dylan thrived. After coming to Minneapolis, I felt free, determined never to return. Nobody knew me. It was fantastic. Adopting the name Bob Dylan, he spun fabricated tales while networking with artists, absorbing musical knowledge during all-night sessions. He'd knock on friends' doors at 5 a.m. to share sudden inspirations. Yet publicly, Dylan maintained quiet reserve even when excited. Fans remarked, he rarely spoke opinions, avoided arguments, and sang when nervous. Dylan's fascination with Minneapolis quickly faded as he found the scene too limiting for growth. He fell in love with Woody Guthrie's music, considering him the greatest folk singer, though few in Minneapolis knew Woody. Left, right, middle finger, here the paper, hers and peasants and princess and kings. What it get, where I wrote you song. This song we just played was Dylan's tribute to Woody. Woody was the emblem of new American folk. 1940s America's rapid economic growth brought environmental damage and social inequality, fueling protest folk music's rise. Homeless since youth, Woody created 2,000-plus songs advocating for the poor, pioneering music-driven social reform. Dylan idolized Woody, initially performing only his songs, mimicking his style. He invented a neck-mounted harmonica holder to emulate Woody's signature sound. This unique performance style became Dylan's trademark. Woody's autobiography, Bound for Glory, was Dylan's bedtime reading. The book guided Dylan's search for artistic identity. Woody wrote, "I'll be my own master, sing my truth, voice the people's thoughts through music." Dylan adopted this approach, crafting socially conscious songs to develop his style. Woody resided in New York, America's cultural hub, teeming with top musicians and poets. After 16 months mimicking Woody, Dylan left Minneapolis for New York's bigger stages. He felt deep nostalgia for Minneapolis, his true starting point and most cherished period. He said, "Less than I right angle. For me, that was the purest era. Everything was simple there, and that simplicity stayed with me. My experiences there shaped who I am today." But nostalgia couldn't stop his journey. In January 1961, Dylan arrived in New York through blizzards and freezing winds. At 19, he couldn't imagine becoming folk's king within 4 years. Youth icon and civil rights voice. Dylan endured hardship during his early New York years. In Less Than Signed I Right Angle, Talking New York Right Angle, he recalls job hunting struggles. I finally got harmonica gigs blowing till my lungs burst for $1 daily. Woody's fans criticized his imitation as inauthentic mimicry, criticism Dylan persevered through. Early 1960s saw Cold War tensions peak. Young Kennedy's presidency shifted political radicalism, civil rights boiling as societal transformation loomed. Dylan Mittenwinsey channeled the zeitgeist, creating anti-war or racism or inequality folk anthems. These protest songs quickly spread among youth. Most famous was Less Than I Blowin' in the Wind. How many roads must a man walk down? The answer is blowing in the wind. Dylan crafted this song containing 9 philosophical questions. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many times must cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? Haunting delivery with sustained vibrato. How many deaths will it take till we know too many have died? And so on. The chorus repeats the profound refrain, "The answer is blowing in the wind." An open-ended response inviting reflection. Avoiding direct war references, Dylan used metaphorical language, cannons, roads, lives, to spark universal contemplation. The song became an anthem for civil rights movement, through widespread covers. Unlike traditional folk, Dylan avoided literal storytelling. He employed poetic devices, ellipsis and metaphor, obscuring specific events. This intellectual approach earned him the poet-singer title. His poetic peak manifested in less than sine I right angle, A hard rain's a gonna fall, right angle I. The song begins with a blue-eyed boy's surreal journey through 12 misty mountains and 6 crooked highways, wading through 7 sorrowful forests, encountering 12 dead oceans, visions of wolves circling newborns, poets dying in streams, poisoned waters, apocalyptic imagery. Then I'll stand on the ocean until I start sinking, culminating in the hard rain's ominous approach. Many interpreted this as nuclear war prophecy during Cuban Missile Crisis. Poet Allen Ginsberg wept upon hearing it. Less than I right pointing angle, quote, American poetry's torch past. These words make hair stand up. Truth and reality entwined. This is poetry. This acclaim and success hit like a bolt from the blue. Dylan wasn't just a singer anymore. He'd become youth's spiritual leader, expected to guide public opinion. Civil rights organizers consciously positioned him as their spokesman, leveraging his magnetic appeal